The new year is here, and there's been so much going on. I mean, first of all, we got our subscriber count past the funny number of 4 many boys. You know, like the big games got. Wait, hang on a moment. Oh, there we go. And I don't know about you, but the year's starting off pretty orky with the Bad Moon boys being right in the front and center, though I got to say, these kids ain't acting much like Bad Moons. No, I mean, there's this kid, and these kids, and, well, these is Flush kids, so of course these is proper Bad Moons. And just look at that stomper right there. Oh, it's so fucking beautiful. But, you know, I can't help but think that these Bad Moons boys ain't really giving Beakies a proper scrap though. In the total Warhammer trailer, you know, for a bunch of boys that's supposed to be more on the darker side of things, all they really seems to do is just run forward and get crumped easily by the zoggin blue Beakies. And the Dawn of 4 trailer ain't much different, but, you know, at least we got some pure Bad Moons and proper orky moments.
Us, we're gonna crash into the planet! Yeah, good. They won't get away this time. Crash faster!
But the Ultra Beakies, they seems to be able to fight everything, right? Never getting crumped, never breaking a sweat. It's not Gork's wisdom, it's just letting them Beakies be the best zoggin Beakies at everything, right? I mean, based on what I sees in the newsphere, that's what most humans is gobbing on about, right? And I mean, I'll get it, humans, I'll get it, I'll really zoggin do. And for example, you got Captain Titty, right? Now, personally, I kinda like this here Captain Teddy Beaky. Gave War Boss Grimskull and the entire war the best fight they's ever gonna get. But that wasn't the end of Captain Teddy, was it? Cause they got another big story of them fighting not only a big old mob of big bad bug eyes, but also the Rainbow Dust Beakies. And now Captain Teddy's off doing some beaky thing with planets, I don't fucking care. But here's the thing, right? See, Captain Teddy, well, they didn't get just one model that you can use for the big game, but he got 2. Plus some of the other Beakies that was with them in them stories. And if that weren't enough, not only does Captain Teddy get 2 models, but you can use them in the big games tournaments. All from 2 zoggin games, right? Now we got Ultra Blackhawk, a Bad Moon war boss as big as Gazgul, having their own giant war, and 6, count 'em 6 different books that feature them. And they's only got 1 model that immediately got put in the zoggin Legends for the big game, which means no tournament play for Ultra Blackhawk. Nothing. What the zoggin is that? What is this? What do you humans call it? Glazing. Yeah, what's with this beaky glazing, eh? Well, Roots, if you just thinking that, then you ain't thinking orky. Cause to any get what calls their skin green can tell you, the blue Ultra Beakies being able to do the impossible, get all the attention, and basically being unable to lose anything makes perfect zoggin sense. And it ain't cause these is better than any other Beaky mob, it's cause these is just plain lucky. I mean, just look at any of the Ultra Beakies and, well, just look at all that zoggin blue. From top to bottom, these Beaky gets is nothing but blue. And for the uninitiated in the audience, blue is the luckiest color that Orks is got. It's why the Death Skulls is obsessed with making everything that they own, and even themselves, blue. The bluer something is, the more lucky it is. And for these here sticky fingered kids, all that blue has to make them a bit more lucky at doing lots of things, right? Dodging bullets better, hitting targets better. This is all about being blue, so this is all about being lucky. But if they didn't have all that luck, well, they'd be right smashed for pitching what don't belong to them. Sneaky zoggin kids. All fill them full of holes before they get to tusslinks away from these shooters. So, considering how lucky Death Skulls is with the limited amount of blue that they's got, and then looking back at the Ultra Beakies and seeing how they's got even more blue, yeah, I was gonna understand why these is apparently better at everything, cause these is just zoggin lucky. But that ain't all, boys, cause there's another thing that makes even more sense to make them more lucky. Now, in preparation for this video, I've been doing extensive research on all the stupid, illogical things that humans believe in. And upon seeing this associated with Lucky Blue Beakies, I think I've seen this thing before. Now, to the limited understanding that I cares to have for humans, you little runs call these things horse shoes. I know what a shoe is, but what does zoggin horse? Oh, so it's basically like a squid, but so poorly designed that if it didn't have legs, it would die. Yeah, that seems like something illogical humans would be obsessed with. But the zoggin shoes are the thing? Apparently this is somehow a good luck glyph for humans. Do I got that right? So when you take that into consideration, let's look back at all the blue beakies. What do them beakies use for all day glyphs? Yeah, you all can see that? Them lucky horseshoes. And the more damn horseshoes that blue beakies wear, the luckier they is. Is I wrong, runts? Well, for those of you who think so, I've got a little something for you. I asked the one kid that knows everything about everything in the universe more than anyone else on the zoggin noosphere, Mr. PancakesNoWorkses, to help me out. Creator of the popular Do's and Don'ts series. Oi, Mr. Pancakes, introduce yourself, you git.
Greetings, Greenskin. I've come from the realm of Ultramar to help out your, shall we say, less enlightened faction. Indeed, for how can someone not love and support the greatest of them all?
Alright, Mr. Pancakes. Now, you loves the Ultra Blue Beakies, right? So then, how about you tells me about some of their best war bosses?
Well, how about I begin with the one and only Malam Kaido? This fine example of Gilliman's sons has slain countless foes, be they heretical cultists, the foul traitorous space marines, or even the greater demons of the archenemy. There's not a chaotic foe alive that doesn't fear him, for he is the wrath of the Primarch made manifest. To say he's a powerful warrior would be like saying Orks sort of like fighting. It doesn't do near enough justice. Well, Malam Kaido seems to have no issues finding whatever equipment he needs to achieve victory. Armor, rejuvenants, weapons, and of course enough ammo to ensure all of them keep firing. He always gets just what he needs to get the job done. And his trusty chainsword, of course.
So, with all the Gribblies and Chaos Boys that Mad Lad Kaido crumped, how exactly was they able to do that without running out of slugs, eh? So what use is saying then is that Mad Lad Kaido just so happened to find enough slugs in Dakka to take down many mobs of Gribblies and Chaos Boys by themselves, right? Well, don't that seem awfully lucky then, that this git was able to find all that Dakka just lying around all over the place? What other lucky blue beaky bosses you knows about?
Well, surely you've heard of the one and only Cato Sicarius. Former captain of the 2nd Company, and now the head of nothing less than Gilliman's own honor guard. I'd say he's second only to Calgar and Gilliman himself. With thousands of marines under his glorious leadership, he held the line against an orc horde that had taken out nearly all the hive cities on the world of Blackreach. After an orbital bombardment and the most valiant of drop pod assaults, he deployed several thunderfire cannons to ensure the follow-up attack by the Greenskins was handily defeated.
Okay, hang on for a moment, Mr. Pancakes. I will concede the notion that Orks always come back for another go. After all, Orks is made for fighting and winning, but I've got a few questions. How many is several of these here cannons?
If I had to make an estimate, I'd say at least 100 of the turrets.
Okay, that's all talking for sure, but I did some looking, and these here thunderfire cannons ain't much bigger than a beaky. And not only that, but according to the rules of the big game, these here cannons is strength 5, right? And all the boys is tough 5, right? That means, according to the rules of the big game, these cannons got only half and half a chance of actually wounding boys. And apparently, these cannons was enough to drive back an entire war's second go for a fight, right? So then, is it safe to say then that in order for Mr. Kado Sarcophagus's cannon to crump a whole war by themselves, they would need to roll really lucky on their wound rolls?
Ah, but this battle is but one of many Cato Sicarius is renowned for. On Damnos, an army of Necrons that obliterated not only plenty of Imperial Guard, but even some of his fellow Ultramarines. Sicarius was sent in alongside another 500 Marines of the various companies of the Ultramarines to destroy these foul Xenos and prevent word of their growing power from spreading. Despite a Catan shard leading the Necrons, it was inevitable the foul Xenos would be defeated. Cato Sicarius' unpredictable tactics, combined with Marnius Calgar wielding a Necron pylon, brought low their defensive shield and paved the way for their defeat.
Wait, hang on. Now, I know that this here Manny Kilgore kid was like the second biggest boss of all the Ultra Beakies, but how was a kid this size able to push a zoggin building 2 and many times their own size and weight?
Ah, you see, he's him.
And how did Cato Sarcophagus know that that would break the Tin Boys' big bubble ship, eh? I mean, if their big melty guns and big zappy cannons weren't working, why was this gonna work?
Well, you see, he's him.
And why did the Bony Tin Boys make it to where their own Joker would easily crump them? With as schemy and backstabby as some of them Bony Tin Boys is, you'd think they'd make their bubble shield awfully strong enough so that they could prevent their own Joker from breaking it, right? Well, it seems awful lucky that this here plan worked considering how illogical it all was.
Now hang on, because this isn't the end. With the shield around the Tesseract vault down, the Catan shard inside was freed, which killed the Necron Overlord and caused all the warriors to shut down, making it essentially a 1v everyone. Still, a Catan shard is a mighty foe, but no match for a vortex grenade courtesy of one Cato Sicarius.
Wait, where did he get that fancy warp stick bomb?
He was gifted it by a Death Watch sergeant assisting the chapter on their mission.
Then where did they get it?
I would presume highway robbery.
So you're just telling me that it just so happened that the Bony Tin Boy's sappy green card got out and went directly for the Tin Boy boss first. And because of that, it just so happened that the boss controlled all the other Tin Boys. You know, instead of going after Cato Sarcophagus and the rest of the Blue Beakies. And then, when the Tin Boys was all dead, Mr. Sarcophagus just so happened to have a really big bomb that was able to send the Bony Tin Boy God back into the warp? That seems awfully lucky, eh, Mr. Pancakes?
Well, perhaps one last tale of his exploits will make you see the glory that he is. He had not too long ago spent 5 years trapped in the warp itself. Dwindling supplies and men, with only a Geller field and warp drive barely working, the crew of his ship grew so mad that entire sections of the ship were at one point sealed off to keep the madness to only a moderate level. 45-minute sleep cycles, recycled armor and ammo, things were dire. Eventually a bloodthirster of Khorne arrived and he only had 50 men left. They engaged with Cato taking the fight to melee, and while most of the Ultramarines died, the demon began suffering warp exhaustion through the prolonged fight, shrinking to the size of a man and allowing Cato to kill it.
Wait, what did the big angry gribbly thing shrink?
Well, you see, without a supply of warp energy, demons lose their ability to sustain themselves and suffer for it, with in this case it causing the bloodthirster to shrink to the size of a mortal.
But Dace was in the warp. That's like saying a boy surrounded by eating squigs and slowly died of hunger.
Ah, but Geller fields create a bubble of real space around a ship. While yes, it was in the warp, it could be argued that technically the bloodthirster was fighting them in real space due to it.
Wait, I thought you said that the spacey bubble field was smashed.
The field was going in and out. Not reliable enough for long-term protection, but working just long enough for one such as Cato Sicarius to secure the kill.
Oh, I see. So it just so happened that the big spacey bubble field stayed on just zoggin long enough for the angry red Cribbly to slowly starve from not being into warp. So they got small enough and just in the nick of time for Mr. Sarcophagus to stab it in the bonds once it was as big as a Yumi. Is that what you was saying? Cause it sounds like Mr. Sarcophagus was really lucky that barely functioning bubble field decided to magically function in that particular instance.
The glories don't end with Cato, however. The chapter master of the Ultramarines, the spiritual liege of all space marines, Papa Smurf himself, Marnius Calgar, must still be discussed. Among his long list of accolades after centuries of experience, he's battled the mighty Swarmlord itself and survived to tell the tale, albeit at the cost of his honor guard and most of his limbs. At the siege of Zalathrex, he beat back an entire orc horde by himself, and even managed to somehow take down an Avatar of Cain with a perfect blow. One clean hit and the fight was over. Somehow the Avatar of Cain striking him numerous times didn't do him in, because the job of the Eldar is to suffer. Although that being said, Godspeed to him for ripping off a Lord of Skull's head. This is metal as hell, and I'm all here for it.
I had several questions. So, this here Manny Kilgore was able to crop the first bug-eyed boss the humans ever saw. But due to all the other bug knobs that they had, Mr. Kilgore had to leg it, or else they would have died. Well, it seems awfully lucky of Mr. Kilgore being able to survive that being as cropped as hard as they was. But how was it that Mr. Kilgore couldn't stop a mob of bugs, but was able to stop an entire war all by themselves for a whole soggin' day? You see that right over there, Runs? That is a stomper. And Mr. Kilgore ain't stopping a stomper all by their lonesome. I mean, wait, hang on. I'm sorry, boys, not one, but two stompers. One is just kinda in the back there. So, do you soggin' well think Mr. Kilgore survived two stompers and many boys? Mr. PancakesNoWorkses?
Hey man, I've seen people hit that 4-up invuln save all game before. You ever see a 1,000 Sun Psyker tank a round of combat against an Avatar of Cain? I'm convinced I was playing a lore-accurate Eldar army that game.
Oh, okay. So, what you is saying then, Mr. Pancakes, is that Mr. Kilgore was making some lucky rolls, eh? And as for Mr. Kilgore fighting the scrawny god of fighting, well, if that scrawny god was able to smash Mr. Kilgore 4 zoggin times without killing that lucky blue beaky boss, but somehow, after being nearly killed again, Mr. Kilgore was able to get up after being cropped 4 times and was able to kill the scrawny god in 1 zoggin punch? How lucky is that, Mr. PancakesNoWorkses? Or let's just cut to the chase, eh? How about you talk to me about the biggest of the big bosses of the lucky blue beakies?
Well, if you don't mind a bit of self-promotion, I have a video on Guilliman for anyone's potential enjoyment. But to make a long story short, Guilliman is the greatest Primarch, as is fitting for the greatest Legion and Chapter. He landed on a world that wasn't actively trying to eat him, always a positive. He was raised and tutored by a wise and kind man and woman, giving him a stable home life in which he didn't grow up learning utterly insane values. Aside from conquering more planets for the Emperor than any other Primarch during the Great Crusade, at the start of his part of the heresy, he was blasted out into space, but decided that helmets and a breathable atmosphere are for pussies, so he just started punching word-bearers' heads off. While he was mortally wounded by Fulgrim and put into stasis to prevent the poison from killing him, with Belisarius Call's brilliance and Yvrane's Eldar mystical knowledge, he was resurrected into the 41st millennium. Ever since then, he's battled traitor, Primarch, and demon alike, and while Mortarion did bring him low, the Emperor himself knows greatness when he sees it, and resurrected him, right after he set fire to Nurgle's garden for good measure.
Okay, so what you is saying then is that not only did Robot Gorilla Man not only land on a bored planet that he couldn't crump anything with, but was also taken up by a beaky boss that didn't like fighting. That's pretty soggin' lucky for a Humie. And not only that, but somehow Mr. Gorilla Man was able to not just survive in space, you know, that thing that ain't got no air for your lungs and such, but was able to crump a bunch of beakies all by themselves while that happened? That's beyond lucky. That's just illogical. Oh, but Mr. Gorilla Man apparently was able to survive being stabbed with a big old poison chopper rather than being crumped. And apparently, the Scrawnies and all the Humies decided to work together, despite the fact that they zoggin' hate each other, to bring back Mr. Gorilla Man. With Balonius Carl making a special set of mega armor to bring the Primarch back from the dead, and then, I ain't even gonna zoggin' try to pronounce that name, this scrawny git used some kind of scrawny magic to also bring Mr. Gorilla Man back from the dead. What as long as they able to do that? But then, the zoggin' Emperor themselves decided to possess and resurrect Mr. Gorilla Man's skin. And I got to say, Robot Gorilla Man is probably the luckiest of all the Ultra Blue Lucky Beakies, considering all the zoggin' things that they was able to survive. I don't know about you, Mr. PancakesNoWorkses, but if Gork or Mork were inside me, using me like some kind of puppet, I think I'd zoggin' explode.
Hey man, they may be lucky, but I still think they're pretty damn cool.
Well, that they is, Mr. Pancakes, that they is. It would be nice to see other beakies, or so me other humies, scrawnies, tin boys, and of course Orkses, get some more proper appreciation from Gork's wisdom. But When users are getting something that lucky, it's easy to see why Days is winning when they should be losing at least sometimes. Well, thanks for coming by to straight things out, Mr. PancakesNoWorkses. Where can my boys find you?
Well, for those interested, you can find me at PancakesNoWork for various lore and tabletop stuff, PancakesNoWork for the finest gaming shenanigans, and of course on Twitter, where you can track how much I've had to drink by how many times in a row you see a gif of Vegeta.
Thanks again, Mr. Pancakes, and thank you to all the boys, bosses, and knobs for continuing to toss your teeth at us so we can keep making proper Orky videos. All things considered, it might be fun to bring a little Orky logic to all the illogical things into Galaxy of the Big Game, just to make them make a bit more sense. Let me know what you boys would like to see in them little chatty boxes below, and as always, you little gits, shove up and zog off! And if we could get to 5 and many boys, I'll do an Is It Orky on these kids.